Good day, I'm Olayinka Oluwaseyi, and I'll be introducing Finance Group 10. We'll be talking on employment communication.
Okay, so under employment communication, I will be touching the aspect of the definition of employment communication, the definition of a CV and a resume, the steps in writing a cover letter, the techniques for submitting and following up on application, the basic tips for success during and after an interview. But first, what's employment communication? Employment communication can simply be defined as a viable way or ways through which a job seeker persuades the employer to hire him or her by demonstrating his or her skills, expertise, and knowledge, satisfies the job requirements in the best possible manner.
I'll be talking about CV and resume, their meaning and the areas of application. Firstly, what's a CV? A CV is a very in-depth document that describes your career journey step by step, including all sorts of personal information. What is a resume? A resume is a short, straight-to-the-point document created for the purpose of applying to a specific job. A CV is usually used in academic and research fields and is more comprehensive than a resume, while a resume is used in other fields and is typically a concise summary of your work experience, skills, and qualifications. Under the parts of a resume, we have contact information, resume introduction, professional experience, skills, and education.
Steps to follow when writing a resume or a CV. Choose the appropriate format. Ensure you pick the right format for the job application and follow the instructions given in the job posting. The second one, create a header. Include your name, phone number, email address, LinkedIn profile, if applicable, at the top of the document. The third one, write a summary statement of objective. A summary statement is a brief overview of what you are bringing to the table for the employers. Why an objective is what you aim to achieve in the job. The fourth one, you align to educational accomplishment. That lists your degrees, certifications, qualifications, whatever that list your degrees, certifications, and any other relevant thing that is required for the job. The fifth one, list your work experience and accomplishments. That is your most recent job, start on the top and work from back. The sixth one, highlight your skills. Top and hard skills, for example, like top and soft skills. For example, technical skills, languages, communication, etc. should be listed that are relevant to the job. Number 7, proofread and include references. Provide at least 2 references that can stand in for you on behalf of the job. Number 7, proofread and edit. Check your document for grammatical errors and spelling errors. Use a clear and consistent format. And remember that your CV or resume should be tailored for the job application and align your qualifications.
So I want to talk about structure of a cover letter. But before then, cover letter is a letter of introduction which is accompanied with your CV or your resume. Then the structure of a cover letter is starting with information about you, which is to be written in block style at the left margin of your page, and it contains your name, your recent home address, and your telephone number. Now you talk about the date. This is very important. Now is the contact person's name, address, and title, because it will make your application to get to the hiring manager as fast as possible. Then you should also notice your address. You should also notice your salutation. So it's very appropriate. Maybe, for example, Mr. John, Mrs. Smith, or dear prospective employer. Then it also includes your opening paragraph, which states how you get to know about the vacant position. Then maybe by unsolicited mailing, personal referrals, and the likes. Now you go to the middle paragraph, which contains the summary of your background and how you are qualified, the skills you got to qualify for the position. Then the last one is your contact information, which is when or where they can contact you and when you can discuss or when you will call the hiring manager for discussion about the application. Or if you don't have a contact name, you can just indicate your anticipation for responding or response for the application. You should remember to thank the hiring manager for his time and his consideration of your application.
When writing a cover letter, there are some basic steps you have to follow. The first, which is the most important step, is for you to do your research about the job. You should know what the job is about, what it entails, the requirements meant for the job, the skills needed for the job. Next, you have to go ahead to customize your cover letter for each job position you are applying for. For example, if you are going for the role of a data analyst, you should show your skills in Excel. Next, you have to include your your contact information. You should include information so that the hiring manager will be able to reach you. Next, you have to address your cover letter to a real person. Address your cover letter to a real person. You could write the name of the employer or the name of the department, and if you don't even know the name of the employer, you could write to whom it may concern. Next, you have to start with a strong opening statement. Look for something that will capture the interest of the interviewer or the employer. You could start with maybe a provoking question, or you could talk about something about the organization. Next, you have to prove your skills and background and how it will bring a change into the organization. Next, you have to close your statement with a strong closing statement, but don't come off too strong so as not to sound desperate. Next, you have to use a formal closing salutation like yours sincerely. And last but not the least, you have to optimize the ATS, which stands for the application tracking system.
I'm talking about the few common styles of writing a cover letter. So firstly, we have the creative style. This style allows one to showcase his creativity and personality. Secondly, we have the email style. Here, the cover letter is usually brief and is more suitable for online job applications. Then thirdly, we have the referral style. A referral cover letter is used when one is referred to a position by somebody else.
We're going to be talking on submitting and following up your application. Submitting and following up your application is as important as creating a great document because wrong submission can render your efforts useless. So now we have hard copy, soft copy, and online submission. Most of the time, the employer will specify which method to use. You should go with the method of the employer. Hard copy submission. If using hard copy submission, ensure you look for a good white paper and use a laser printer to print out your word. Make sure your printing is dark and clean and use a font size 11 preferably. Now do not fold or staple your CV, and if you are sending the hard copy by mail, use a 9 by 12 envelope. So moving on to soft copy submission. Soft copy submission, your CV and cover letter should be saved in one document and you should save it in your name. That's preferable. And make sure you put it in a PDF format and not a Word format. Putting it in PDF is to preserve the formatting, except specified otherwise by the employer. Now, to send the CV and cover letter through soft copy submission, your cover letter should be the body of your mail, then you attach your CV to the cover letter. Your cover letter is what the employer reads first before opening your CV, and it makes the first impression. So ensure your cover letter is persuasive and leaves a good first impression to the employer. At the end, download and save your application.
Online submission. When submitting your resume online, read carefully and follow the instructions provided. Some may have word limit or no text box to include information you will normally include in your cover letter. Some websites might provide you additional space to include those documents. If the space provided only allows you to upload one document, attach the cover letter and the resume together and upload it as one document. Following up on employment application, if you responded to an advertised opening, you are expected to wait for at least one week or more than a month before you can get a response. If after the second week you do not get a response, resist the temptation to call, as that might be considered obtrusive. Unless if you are applying for a sales position where aggressiveness is considered a good thing. Rather, send your follow-up letter or follow-up
I'll be
email.
talking about tips for success before an interview. Number one, you have to learn and research about behavioral interviewing skills. These techniques gives a potential employer valuable insight on how to face challenges in his or her job and how to turn them into favorable opportunities. Number two, you have to prepare for the mode or type of interview. We have different type or mode of interview. We have the out of office interview, we have phone or video interview, performance interview or group interview. Whatever mode or type of interview, you need to be prepared and make sure everything is put in place before the interview. Also, you have to make time for practice. That is, you can record yourself and ask yourself sample questions to know how prepared you are, or ask someone to video and assess you. Also, you have to prepare answers to common questions. There are common questions an employer can ask during an interview. There are questions about yourself, where you see yourself in 5 years, your strengths and your weaknesses, how you learned about the job. Also, you have to consider what to bring. That is, you have to make a list of important things you are going to bring in for the interview. Stuff like a printed copy of your resume, list of references, a pen and jotter just to take important note of things during the interview, questions you can ask the employer during the interview. Then the last one, you have to dress for the job. They say the way you dress determines the way you will be addressed. So you have to dress in a way to give a good first impression.
Talking on tips for success during and after an interview. Tips for success during an interview. Make sure you're at the interview location early, let's say like 30 minutes to 1 hour before the interview. Also, be authentic as possible during the interview. Be positive, be assertive, be confident when answering the interview questions. Make sure you tell the truth and use real-life examples of your career when answering questions. Also, be nice and polite to everyone you meet at the interview location. Speak clearly and avoid using negative words. Avoid bringing up intimate topics or gossips during the interview. Also, build rapport with the interviewer. Try to establish this personal connection with the interviewer during the interview. Like tips for success during an interview. Tips for success after an interview. Remember to follow up. Also, write an email to the interviewer thanking him for taking time to interview you. Also, make sure you include in that email some important topics that were discussed during the interview. This will help him remember you and contact you regarding the next steps to take. Also, take time to reflect on your performance. Make note of areas where you fell short and you need to work on. This will help you prepare for another interview in the future. Thank you.